Okay, we'll start with our prayer. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Sahana Vavatu Sahanu Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya aviravirmayedhi. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Your nectar-like words and warm and inspiring life stories, eulogized by learned sages, are indeed the eradicator of shoots of ignorance. Those who listen this and inculcate in their own lives, these are auspicious to hear, and it is propitious to inculcate in one's own life. Those who take these words to the world are indeed great benefactor of the world. We are studying Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play. And it is in the beginning, the chapter is marriage and early years. The context is why we should study a life. Life is very important. A lamp is lit from another lamp. Similarly, a life is lived in the fashion of another person. Here, that person is not ordinary person. It's very difficult to fathom the life of mother. As Swami Vivekananda wrote to Mahapurush Maharaj, Dada, my elder brother, you all have not understood the importance of Holy Mother's life. So he wrote to Mahapurush Maharaj. Why? It is very important. Life of Sri Ramakrishna is very transparent. And he has also spoke many teachings which are recorded. But the life of Holy Mother is silent observance of life. It is very difficult to understand. But as we contemplate, we understand the depth of her life. And it is very practical. In the situation where mother was kept, even Sri Ramakrishna would find difficulty. Even Swami Vivekananda would be angry where she was put. So we have seen in many places, and we'll also will see. So the point is, as Sri Ramakrishna said, that if a person wants to be a doctor, a physician, he must have company of physician. Similarly, spiritual life is very important. It gives the glimpse of truth. Through the life, we only get a glimpse of truth. Only those who are Ashcharya Bhakta Kushalasya Labdha, that means those who are very alert, they can understand and catch. As Swami Vivekananda would say, catch my fire. Fire is there within the wood, But fire is not visible until or unless we contemplate. Like we have two woods, we rub it, then only fire comes. Similarly, guru and disciple. The life force is given by guru. Spiritual life, of course. Like we get physical life from parents. Similarly, it is God who comes in the form of guru and imparts life. And that is why it is very important to study the life of a divinity, a divine person. Here we are studying Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play. In ordinary behavior or in ordinary life, her behavior pattern was such inspiring that it is to be followed. So we'll go to the text with this context. Paul, if you are ready.
Yep. Can you hear me? Swami?
Yeah, can you,
is that better?
yeah, it's better.
I'll turn it up a little more. Is that good?
Yes, better.
Awesome. So I have it on, the Brahmani became very jealous. Is that, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, start from there.
The Brahmani became very jealous of Sarada because the master was paying attention to her. At that time, the Brahmani also had a disagreement with Hriday regarding the village's caste rules. When she realized her mistakes,
just a minute.
Yes.
Some may not understand who is Brahmani. Brahmani was guru of Sri Ramakrishna, who helped Sri Ramakrishna to perform all tantric sadhana. So Brahmani was very advanced zone. It's not ordinary to be guru of Sri Ramakrishna. And she was searching two persons. One she found in East Bengal, and then by the will of God she came to Dakshineshwar, and then she helped Sri Ramakrishna to perform all kinds of tantric sadhana. We have already studied in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. So this Brahmani, though she was advanced and she was the first person who claimed that Sri Ramakrishna is not ordinary person, Sri Ramakrishna was an incarnation of God. Such a person was jealous. It's very difficult to find out truth in this world. As Sri Ramakrishna would say, that this world is due to Maya, and there is nothing logical here. Everything is illogical. It looks like it is logical, but if you see from ultimate standpoint, all these are illogical. So when you see a dream looks very logical. But when you wake up, then only you understand that dream was illogical. Similarly, when we are awake, we think that this is very logical, but ultimately it is illogical. Anyway, that is why how Brahmani became jealous, it's very difficult to understand. Such a advanced person. But that was the fact. She was jealous, and because of that, Mother Sarada had to suffer. Anyway, we go forward. Yes.
Okay. When she realized her mistakes, she repented and begged forgiveness from the master, and then left for Varanasi. Sarada later recalled, one day the Brahmani decorated the master like Gauranga with garlands and sandal paste. The master was in an ecstatic mood. She called me to see him. As soon as I went there, the master asked, how do I look? Wonderful, I said. I then bowed down to him and left. One day, the Brahmani left without informing anybody. Ramakrishna was witty and full of fun. Sarada recounted the following incident. At Kamarpukur, Lakshmi's mother and I would prepare the meals. She was a good cook. One day, the master and Hriday were taking their meals. He tasted the food prepared by Lakshmi's mother and said in praise, "Oh, Hriday, the person who cooked this dish is Vaidya Ramdas, an expert physician." He then tasted what I cooked and commented, "The one who has prepared this is Srinath Sen, a quack doctor."
Okay, yeah.
That may be true, said Hriday, but this quack will always be at your service, even ready to give you a massage. All that you have to do is summon her. But Vaidya Ramdas is a very expensive physician. He is not always available. People first consult the quack. He is always your friend. That is true. That is true. She was always available, the master replied, smiling.
So yeah, like in life, we have all kinds of situations, and Sri Ramakrishna was full of fun, full of used to cut many jokes. So here we find how he presented that one, and mother narrated that. So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Ramakrishna knew that Sarada would be a spiritual teacher one day, so he taught her about the insubstantial nature of the world and warned her about its sorrows and pitfalls. He trained her to cultivate detachment from transitory objects and develop devotion to God, who alone is real and eternal.
Yeah. One thing, hope everyone understood the pun or the joke there. That means though Holy Mother cooked like an ordinary person, but she was available all the time. So Srinath Sen, though Srinath Sen was a quack, a physician, but he was always available. So that is the relationship. Okay.
One day,
Later.
Lakshmi later recalled the following incident, which she witnessed in Kamarpukur. One day, the master pointed to Aunt Sarada and said, "What good is there in giving birth like dogs and jackals to a whole brood of children? You raised your young brothers and sister tenderly. You witnessed how deeply your parents lamented when two of them died, and you also grieved for them. How miserable life in the world is. Why should you bother with it? Without any such trouble, you look like a goddess now and will always remain a goddess." One morning, the master was brushing his teeth with a twig.
Okay, so in another time, when Mother Sri Ramakrishna said so, that children die, so why should you hanker for children? Then she quietly said, "Will all children will die?" So it was Divine Mother. Divine Mother wanted to have children. Then Sri Ramakrishna assured him that I'll give you children. Those children are difficult to get. So divine children. And there will be so great in number that you'll be puzzled. You'll be disturbed by listening mother, mother all the time. And later it happened. So many people came at the feet of mother, and everybody wanted to have something from mother. They wanted to have some favor from mother. So that motherhood was woken by Sri Ramakrishna after Shodashi Puja. But this is before that. Anyway, go ahead.
One morning, the master was brushing his teeth with a twig. An ant was mopping the mud floor, mixing mud and cow dung with water. Pointing to Ant, the master jokingly said, "Bedecked with jewelry, you may dance and sing at the rice eating ceremony for your son, but you will fall on the ground crying when he dies." Hearing the master harping on death, Aunt Sarada asked gently, "But do they all die?" Perhaps the master felt that Ant had the innate longing for motherhood that is present in all women. At once he loudly called out to the other ladies, "See, I have stepped on the tail of a cobra. Goodness gracious, I often said to myself, she is such a simple soul, unaware of the ways of the world. But see how much she keeps inside her? Did you hear what she said? Do they all die?" Ant ran away.
This relationship is difficult to express. That's in Bengal, rural Bengal. So their wives are, they don't express their love like here. I love you, such things. So always there, and mother was very bashful. That is why she ran away from that scene. And what Sri Ramakrishna said, because Sri Ramakrishna referred about her motherhood, mother quietly said, "Will all die?" That means the urge for motherhood was there in Holy Mother. Yeah. Go ahead.
Once a religious play was being performed in a neighboring village. Sarada and the other women of the family wanted to see it, but the master would not permit them. The ladies were hurt. The master consoled them, saying that he would see the play and recount it to them. After seeing the play, he returned home and reenacted the whole show in minute detail. He had a sweet musical voice, a remarkable memory, and a wonderful talent for acting. The ladies forgot their disappointment as they enjoyed his performance. People generally think that a spiritual person is supposed to be austere and serious, but Sarada always saw her husband free and frank, happy and cheerful. She later recalled, "I never saw his face sad and sour. He always radiated joy, whether he was absorbed in samadhi or in the company of an older person or with a 5-year-old child. Never did I see him gloomy. He conquered the heart of his young wife with pure love and then poured his spiritual wisdom into it." Sarada later described how the master established divine bliss within her heart. "At that time, I always felt as if a jar of bliss full to the brim was set in my heart. It is impossible to describe that divine joy."
Now it is because Sri Ramakrishna realized what is called Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. What is the goal of our life? The goal of life, our goal of life is freedom. Our goal of life to attain that which is called bliss and that which is knowledge. So Sat means awareness, existence. Existence means that we are free. I am free. That is our goal of life. And Chit, I am aware. I am conscious. But this consciousness as we have is mixed up with worldly consciousness, worldly awareness, and also awareness of our limited self. But a person who has gone and entered into samadhi, he comes back totally transfixed, totally changed, because he is full of joy then. Sat Chit Ananda. So he realized that Sat Chit Ananda Swarupata. That is why he was full of bliss. Some Brahmajnas may be silent because they are within themselves. Atma Rati Atma Krida. But whenever they are interacting, the joy cannot be held up. It will express by itself. Like light cannot be hidden. Even if you try, like fire cannot be covered. It will have its own expression. Similarly, joy is to come out of Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, go ahead.
In the evenings, the master often talked to Sarada and her companions for hours about spiritual matters and his own inner experiences. He also entertained them with stories and jokes. Tired after a whole day of housework, the teenage Sarada would fall asleep on the floor. Her companions would try to awaken her, saying, "You are asleep. You are missing such priceless words." At that, Ramakrishna would say, "No, don't wake her up. If she listens to everything I say, she will not stay on this earth. She will unfold her wings and fly away." Later, Sarada recalled her days in Kamarpakur. After my marriage, I stayed mostly in Jairambati. When the master visited Kamarpakur from Dakshineshwar, my mother-in-law would send someone to bring me there. I was then a little girl, and I did what they asked me to do. They taught me how to serve my mother-in-law and husband. My mother-in-law loved me deeply. In the evening, many men and women of the village would come to the master to listen to his talks and singing. He would talk about God or tell humorous stories, and sometimes entertain them with singing. Sitting in a corner, I would listen and then fall asleep. If someone would try to wake me up, the master would say, "Don't call her, let her sleep."
Yeah, you see, like later, she was aware of herself, but why she did not fly away, as Sri Ramakrishna said, because the time was not ripe. After the sadhana of Sri Ramakrishna, then when he culminated that sadhana with Shodashi Puja, worship of Divine Mother in Shodashi, he woke motherhood, the divine motherhood, the universal motherhood in Sarada Devi. And also, he invoked the responsibility, the mission of Sri Ramakrishna, and that she will have to fulfill the mission of Sri Ramakrishna. That's why Sri Ramakrishna would say later, of course, is it only, it's my দায় means এটা কি আমার দায়, শুধু আমারই দায়, দায় means is it my duty only? We cannot say duty. Why? Because the incarnation has no duty, but still they do. That's why I was avoiding. So what Sri Ramakrishna said, is it only my responsibility? It is your responsibility also. So that was later. First, Sri Ramakrishna prepared Sarada Devi for her mission. And then only Sri Ramakrishna invoked the Divine Mother in Sarada Devi. And that is why later, though she knew what she really was, but she did not fly away because she had to fulfill the mission of Sri Ramakrishna for what she accompanied. And for long, about 36 years, 34 years. 34 years. Yeah.
Sarada had great love and respect for her husband's family members because they were deeply spiritual. Although she never met her father-in-law, Shudaram, or brother-in-law, Ram Kumar, and his wife, Sarvajaya, she would later praise them. "My father-in-law was a pious and spirited Brahmin. He never received gifts from anyone. He even prohibited his people from accepting any gifts brought to his house in his absence. But as regards my mother-in-law, if anyone privately made a gift of food to her, she would accept it, cook it, and offer it to Raghuvir, the family deity, and then give it to others as prasad."
So this is what is this? There are 5 things: truth, truthfulness, satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya, aparigraha, not to accept gifts. Because if you accept gifts, then what happens? You are mortgaged to that person. You are enslaved to that person. It's like a kind of bribe. So high caste Brahmins did not accept gifts. But what about mothers? Yeah, that mother of Sri Ramakrishna, what is her name? Anyway, the name will come.
Swami, is that Chandramani?
Chandramani, yes, Chandramani. So Chandramani, whatever is like some people bring some gifts here also. So what we do? We say offer to Guru Maharaj, offer to God. When it is offered, it is purified. Then we take prasad. So that's not harmful. But when people bring something and it is not offered, that may harm us. That is why always this should be the practice. So Chandamani used to do that. Yes. So Satya, truthfulness, Ahimsa, and non-violence, not hating, Brahmacharya, that means continence, Aparigraha. And Aparigraha is not accepting gifts. And Achaurya, that means non-stealing. So these are very basic qualities. Yeah.
My father-in-law used to get angry if he happened to find out about it. He possessed burning devotion. The Divine Mother, Shitala, would walk with him. He had a habit of picking flowers in the early hours of the morning. One early morning, he went to pick flowers in the garden of the Lahas. Then a girl of 9 or 10, Mother Shitala, came and addressed him, saying, "Father, come to this side. There are many beautiful flowers on this branch. Let me bend the branch down so you can pick the flowers." He asked, "Who are you here at this time of day, my child?" She replied, "I belong to the Haldar family." He was so deeply spiritual, and that is the reason God was born in his family. God comes down from Vaikunta, the heavenly abode of Vishnu, to where the devotees call him. On the night of Kojagari Purnima, the full moon night in autumn, Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, comes down to the earth from Vaikunta. She visits and accepts the worship of those people on whom she wants to bestow her special grace. In Kamarpukur, my mother-in-law saw the goddess Lakshmi as a fair-complexioned girl of 14 or 15, adorned with earrings made of conch shells and diamond-cut bangles around her arms. She walked to my mother-in-law under the bakul tree in front of the house. My mother-in-law asked, "Who are you, my dear?" Lakshmi replied, I have just come here." My mother-in-law asked, "Have you seen my son Ram Kumar? He has gone to perform worship. It is quite late and he has not returned yet." Lakshmi replied, "Yes, he is on his way back with his gifts. I am now coming from that house to visit your house." My mother-in-law said, "No, my child, there is nobody at home. Please do not come now." Considering her to be a stranger, my mother-in-law repeatedly refused to receive her. Lakshmi then said, "All right, my gracious gaze will remain on your family." She then disappeared. Just see, their financial condition never improved to a great extent. Somehow they got by with plain food and ordinary clothing. My mother-in-law saw the goddess Lakshmi come from the direction of the Lahas granaries. My brother-in-law returned, and after hearing the story from his mother, he exclaimed, "Mother, you did not recognize that the goddess Lakshmi herself came? Today is Kojagari Purnima, the day of Lakshmi Puja." He could foretell things and verified this incident by astrological calculations.
Yeah, Kojagari Puja is after Durga Puja. Durga Puja ends with ninth day. That means on 10th day it ends. Dashami. And after that, when the full moon comes, that's called Kojagari Purnima. And see, mother is telling this. What mother said? He was deeply spiritual, and that is the reason God was born in his family. So even Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, both were born there. So Khudiram was not ordinary person. And Mother Chandramani also, she saw Mahalakshmi. Only thing she did not accept her. And that is why they were poor. And but she was very simple-hearted. Yes.
The wheel of time is always turning. Every union ends in separation. After spending 7 months in Kamarpukur, Ramakrishna left for Dakshineshwar and Sarada returned to Jairambati. Sharadananda wrote about the transformation that took place in Sarada after living with her husband. By the time the master left Kamarpukur for Calcutta a few months later, Sarada was endowed with an infinite wealth of joy that she carried back to Jairambati with her. We can easily guess that this blissful experience had effected a transformation in all her movements, speech, and conduct, and in how she worked. But it is doubtful whether ordinary people noticed this. She was now gentle and not fickle, thoughtful and not impertinent, and her love was not blinded by selfishness. Moreover, her experience had eradicated all kinds of worldly desires from her heart, making her infinitely sympathetic to the pain and suffering of others, and gradually transformed her into an embodiment of compassion. Due to the influence of this inner bliss, she neither felt any physical suffering, nor was she disappointed if the loving care she gave to her relatives was not reciprocated. Content in every respect and absorbed within herself, she passed her days at her father's house. Although her body was in Jairambati, her mind was with the master at Dakshineshwar. At times, she felt an intense desire to see the master and be with him, but she carefully controlled herself and waited patiently. She believed that since the master had graciously loved her so much at their first meeting, he would not forget her. When the right time arrived, he would call her to him. Thus, days passed one after another as she waited for that auspicious day, all the while holding to her firm faith within.
So how the presence of Sri Ramakrishna kindled the inner light of mother. So it is like coal. When it is fire comes near it, then it becomes golden. Though mother is this simile is not good. Mother herself is divine. So only it required that kindling. That was done by Sri Ramakrishna. Yes. Go ahead.
Union and separation are part of human life. The joy of union is intensified 1,000-fold after a long period of separation and intense longing. Mental union is higher than physical union, and spiritual union is higher than mental union. While studying the lives of the avatars, we find that for a certain period of their lives, they were separated from their spiritual consorts. Rama was separated from Sita, Krishna from Radha, Buddha from Yashodhara, and Chaitanya from Vishnupriya. Is there any meaning to this? We do not know. Perhaps it was part of their divine play to teach humanity how to be detached from family ties and shun attachments. In the 26 years of their married life, Ramakrishna lived with Sarada in Kamarpukur, Jairambati, Dakshineshwar, Shayampur, and Kasipur for a total of approximately 10 years.
Milan and Vigraha. Even in the life of Sri Krishna and Radha, we find these are various moods. So Milan and Vigraha. So Radha and Krishna will come closer, and then there will be separation. So this is also when separation happens, that time also Radha is deeply immersed in the thought of Sri Krishna. Similarly, when Holy Mother was separated because of the time was not ripe, but she always thought about Sri Ramakrishna. So that way they are united. In the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also we find when he is in Samadhi, he is totally blissful. But when that Vigraha, the separation happened, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was full of agony. And the same thing we find in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. And in that state, he had such heated light, the burning sensation was such that Brahmani could not touch him. And Brahmani had to put a towel on his body to hold him. And it was so heated that even mud of Ganga would first dry and then burn. So such was the heat of Vigraha. But both are important because in both they are united. The same thing happened here in the life of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. Yeah, we go to the next.
Swami, do you want to read that Sanskrit transliteration?
Journey to Dakshineshwar. Charan vai madhu vindati. Charan swadum udumvaram. Suryasya pashya srimanam yona tandrayati charan charaiveti. Rigveda. Okay. Charan vai madhu. Okay. Charan vai madhu vindati. Charan vai madhu vindati. Charan swadum udumvaram. Suryasya pashya Srimanam Yona Tadrayati Charan Charaiviti. Okay.
To march along is to gain immortality. Marching by oneself is the sweet fruit of the journey. Look at the sun, the ever glorious and eternal traveler, who once having started on his journey has never felt drowsy. Hence, O traveler, march along.
Swami Vivekananda also used to say, Charaiveti, Charaiveti. One should go on. And Sri Ramakrishna said this, that sadhu, that one brahmachari told, go forward, not to stop. The joy is in journey. If someone wants to go to the Everest and a person with helicopter may say, why are you toiling like this? I can take you there. But people would not like that. It is because to accept that challenge and go physically, walking to the summit, that is something else. That is the experience of life. So Charaiveti, go forward. Yes.
The more often gold is rubbed with a touchstone, the more it glitters. A fire burns more brightly when the wood is stirred, and a snake raises its hood high when it is struck. Similarly, a human soul awakens when a person is challenged. The lives of the divine women who accompanied the avatars in every age were full of suffering and tragedy. Enduring all forms of hardship, They demonstrated how to overcome suffering through strength of will and how to surrender to providence. Suffering on top of suffering made the divinity of those great women shine forth. That is why, in the Indian tradition, we pay respect to the Shakti, or the female counterpart of God first. We say Lakshmi Narayan and not Narayan Lakshmi. Similarly, we say Gauri Shankar, Sita Ram, and Radha Krishna. It sounds poetic, sweet, and melodious when the name of the Shakti comes first.
So Sita Devi had to suffer a lot because she was taken away by Ravan. And similarly, Radha had to suffer a lot. Even the consort of Sri Chaitanya also had to suffer the separation. But this is natural. When the challenge is given, then only by fulfilling that challenge, one becomes stronger. That's why Sita is worshipped so with so much of devotion. Yes.
Although the life, Although the life stories of the avatars' spiritual consorts are full of pain and suffering, their love for their husbands shine forth unparalleled. They represent the ideal of womanhood. Their lives are brightened by their love and purity, patience and forbearance, contentment and service, self-control and renunciation, devotion and faith, gratitude and unselfishness, poverty and austerity, sacrifice for humanity, and reliance on God. They were established in their own greatness and glory by virtue of these noble qualities. From 1867 to 1871, Sarada lived with her parents in Jairambati and continued to serve her relatives. 4 long years passed. Though her body was in Jairambati, her mind dwelled on her sweet memories of the Master. Sarada grew into a beautiful young woman of 18. Every day she expected to hear from her husband, but no message came. Sometimes she would say to herself, "He was very kind to me during our last meeting. How can he ever forget me? In good time he will, of his own accord, call me to his side. Let me patiently wait for that happy moment."
And not only that, that time the word traveled to Jairambati that her husband was a mad Pagla Bamun, that mad Brahmin. That also pained. That also was painful to her, and village women would call her, wife of that old mad Brahmin. So, but she could not tell all these things to anyone. She had to suffer a lot. And Sri Ramakrishna was, immersed in sadhana and samadhi. So that mother was suffering that time. Yes.
There is a saying, gossip spreads faster than the gospel. In the absence of any word from her husband, Sarada became a victim of terrible village gossip. Gossip breaks hearts and ruins lives. Its victims are helpless, and it causes innocent people to pass sleepless nights and makes them cry into their pillows. Reports came from Dakshineshwar that Ramakrishna had gone completely insane and that he wandered around naked, crying to the Divine Mother. The villagers mistook Ramakrishna's God-intoxicated state for insanity. At the bathing ghat, the village women chattered and gossiped. One woman pointed at Sarada and said, "There's the madman's wife." Another woman added with mock sympathy, "Ah, poor Shamasundari, she has married her daughter to a lunatic. How sad." There is a saying, rumor has 1,000 tongues. Even at home, Sarada had no peace. She heard her mother lament. I have married my daughter to a madman. It is as if I have thrown her into deep water with her hands and feet tied. Sarada was stung by these remarks and avoided people as much as she could. She found relief in keeping herself busy with household duties day and night. When it was unbearable to be at home, she visited her aunt Banu, a widow who lived nearby and was very loving and sympathetic. This woman had insight and understood the divine personality of Ramakrishna. She once told Shyama Sundari, "Your son-in-law is Shiva himself, and Krishna too. You may not understand this now, but you will in the future. Mark my words."
Yeah, so that, yeah, in village, such rumor and gossip was rampant that time. And mother had to suffer a lot because of that, especially in the mental agony. Yes. Yeah.
Referring to this difficult time, Sarada later said, "One must always be busy. Work keeps the body and mind in good shape. During my young days at Jairambati, I was active day and night and did not visit anyone's house. If I ever did, I heard people say, Shyama's daughter has been married to a madman. I avoided people so that I might not hear such remarks." Later, Sarada related to some women devotees her days of suffering during that period. "I was then in Jairambati. I was a mature young woman. I heard that the master had rubbed his face on the bank of the Ganges and cried, saying, 'Mother, mother, do thou reveal thyself to me.' People could not understand him, so they spread rumors that he had become mad. When I heard this, I was terribly hurt, but out of shame, I could not express my feelings to anyone. Seeing my tearful eyes, only Aunt Banu understood. She would console me, giving me a hug and caressing my head, saying, 'Why do you make yourself miserable listening to gossip? Your husband is Lord Shiva himself. I recognized him in the bridal chamber on the very day of your marriage. Don't worry, you will see one day that very madman will conquer the hearts of all. He is mad in the name of the Divine Mother, and that very mother will make everything right.'"
See what happens in our case. In our case, we have some pain-bearing memories, and we dwell on that, and we suffer. But here it is, this kind of suffering is not that bad. That was reminding Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi about Sri Ramakrishna. And she also was worried about him, that how he was passing his time. And at that time, she should be at his side. So all these ideas, so it was a mixed impression. But what happens in our case? If somebody says something, then we keep that in our mind, and all the time that bombards our mind, and we suffer. But this case, it is not like that. This kind of separation, rather, they lived as it were closer, not physically, but mentally. Mother was thinking about Sri Ramakrishna all the time. Yeah. Yes.
The villagers' ridicule went on unabated. There is a saying, "The funeral pyre burns a human being only once, but agony and anxiety burn all the time." Sarada burned with anxiety, constantly doubting her husband's sanity. Again and again, she deliberated within herself. Is my husband no longer the same person? People are saying he has become mad. Is this true? If this has indeed happened by the decree of Providence, I should not stay here. I must take care of him. At last, her patience reached its limit. She decided to go to Dakshineshwar and see for herself. Sarada later said, it was March 1872. Some of our village women were going to bathe in the Ganges in Calcutta on an auspicious occasion. I said to one of them, I want to go to Dakshineshwar to see how my husband is doing. She reported this to my father. I was shy and afraid to talk to him. My father agreed, saying, it is fine if she visits Dakshineshwar. He accompanied us.
Yeah. So, in that time village, even daughters would not tell her father about her husband and that she wanted to go there. So this was, that time village. Now people are very forward and people directly tell, but that time it was like this. And she hesitated. It is because of her bashfulness. It's not shy. She was bashful. And because of that, she hesitated to tell her father. But then, if you tell women, so they'll convey. So that happened in this case. And on special occasions, people used to go to take bath in Ganga. Even today, you can see millions of people are walking. Millions of people are walking and they take Ganga water from one place and offer to Shiva in another place. And maybe 50 miles away, maybe 100 miles away, sometimes even 1,000 miles. Even some people would carry Ganga water from north to south. That means the tip of the Cape Comorin, that Shiva temple, Rameshwaram. So that was the custom that time. Even today it is there. Yes.
Sometime after the middle of March 1872, Sarada, her father, and several women started their journey to Calcutta. During those days, the long roads through the fields were frequented by robbers, so people always traveled in groups. Most people walked, except for the wealthy, who used palanquins. It was a strenuous journey of 64 miles that crossed 5 rivers, the Amodar, Dwarakeshwar, Mundeshwari, Damodar, and Ganges. Travelers passed through the panoramic scenery of vast paddy fields and beautiful lotus ponds. Sometimes they rested under the shade of peepal and banyan trees along the road, and at night in a roadside inn. Sarada and her companions walked happily for 2 or 3 days, but then Sarada's legs and feet began to hurt. She had never undertaken such a long journey, and she was barefoot.
You see, another thing that in village, that time people never used shoes. They would walk barefoot. And walking such a great distance was very difficult for mother. And secondly, crossing the rivers. But even today, you can see the ocean of paddy fields. And it's not like hilly like this area. It's plain land, Gangetic plain land, and 64 miles. And crossing river was the challenge. Yes.
Her feet swelled with blisters and bruises. Moreover, life in a malaria-stricken village had not given her robust health. Sarada had a terrible attack of malaria on the way, and she developed a high fever. Ramchandra was very worried. He took shelter in a wayside inn with his daughter. After covering Sarada with a chadar so that she would not shiver with chills and fever, he went to collect food and water. Sarada was terribly distressed that she had fallen ill. That night, however, she had a wonderful vision that greatly reassured her. She later recalled, I was lying almost unconscious with fever, without any sense of decorum. Just then I saw a girl come and sit down beside me. She was black in complexion. I had never seen such beauty before. She began passing her hand over my head and body. It was so soft and cool that the burning sensation of my body began to subside. I asked, "Where do you come from?" She replied, "I come from Dakshineshwar." Amazed, I said, "From Dakshineshwar? That's where I long to see my husband and to look after him. But now I have this fever, and perhaps I shall never see him again." "What are you saying?" said the girl. "Of course you'll get to Dakshineshwar. As soon as you're better, you shall go to him. I've been taking care of him there for your sake." I said, "How good you are. Tell me, are you one of our relatives?" "I am your sister," she told me. I said, "Ah, so that's why you've come to me." I then fell asleep.
See here. So first, Divine Mother Kali appeared there, and she informed Sarada that I have kept for your sake, for you. So this Ramakrishna, the mission of Sri Ramakrishna was not only Sri Ramakrishna's, it is mother's. So, and mother would play a greater role in this. So what she said, I have been taking care of him there for your sake. And then who are you? When she asked, who are you? Are you my relative? She said, I'm your sister. So Holy Mother was not ordinary human being, divine being, and not separate from Mother Kali. So this is great. Many years later, Sarada told the same story with more details. Anyway, so just I think time. Yeah. So we'll stop here. It's great life. And we'll see how the divinity is manifested in her life gradually, how it unfolds. So great life. Only this should be meditated on to have her blessing. So we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamivavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Akshay,
Yes,
anything? Of course, today it is a story.
like like how can we work without desire?
So Holy Mother's life is like that. You'll see, Holy Mother will serve all without any expectation. Even people expect, like somebody passed away. So that person offered some flowers with a note of condolence. And she was expecting that a thank you note will come. So people suffer because they expect things, but Holy Mother never expected. So without expectation. Another thing is, as Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Yajñarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Whatever we should do, it should be done for yajñartha. That means for the sake of offering. And when you are offering, you don't expect. If you expect and you don't get, then you are disappointed. So one is asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. Asanga shastra means unattachment, without any attachment. All our miseries because of our attachment. We expect things. So one thing is anchoring in the self, anchoring in the divinity. We should perform our duties. And second, we should not expect anything from anyone. So how to do then? As Sri Krishna said, Mam Anusmara Yuddhacha. Remember me and keep on fighting. So in the case of Holy Mother, you can see, Mother was doing active all the time. Even she used to cook for her own disciples, clean the plates, clean the space. And, when disciples wanted to do themselves, she said, no, I am your mother. This is my duty to do. So she would not allow. Not only that, once it happened that Swami Saradananda, after eating, left the room, wanted to wash the hands. That time, mother took that seat on which Saradananda sat. The seat, he took and touched that seat on her head, saying, it is our great fortune that such a divine monk has come. We are ordinary people. We are ordinary grihasthas. Who is saying, who is begging the favor of Mother Sarada? The same Sarada is taking the seat, touching the seat with her head and saying, it is our great fortune that such a divine being has come to us. Can you think this? Not only she was not expecting, rather she is so dedicated and serving as divine. And she used to look after everyone. Even the cows, crows, whatever came, she would tell that I'm mother of all. Think of that. If you are doing something thinking that you are mother, you'll not expect anything. You can see your mother. Mother feeds you, cares for you, but she does not expect. Even, the worldly mother may expect something, but divine mother never expects anything. So that is the way to serve others without expectation, like a mother does. Right? Thank you very much.
Thank
Jai Ma. Thank you all.